I've got two persons coming in here this morning, and one's going to be joining us by Zoom from Carriacou. The three are Nicoyan Roberts, who's the team leader. Apparently, they're planning a real big do. And by the way, I see that Facebook is up now. Ain't that great? Hello. We, without touching anything, we automatically went on the air. Hello, Facebook. Welcome. To those of you joining us on Facebook this morning, thank you so much. You've only missed about 4.5 minutes, so don't go crying, okay? Um, I might even make that 4 minutes because we were about 30 seconds late getting started. So, there we are. Say hello. You can wave. Everybody wave now. Sunday morning. Yeah. Okay. So, the folks who are coming in to talk about the upcoming IFE reunion are Nikki Ann Roberts. She's the leader of the team that's planning this whole big event, and she's going to be here in about 40 minutes or so. Um, and then we do have Karis Cummings, who's a doctor of internal medicine. I'm assuming, and she's in Massachusetts, by the way, but she's here with us this morning. I'm assuming she's one of the successful graduates of IFE. And Jenny Gibbs Alexander, who is the president of the Anglican High School Past Pupils Association in New York City. Okay? So that's going to be a primary interview this morning, and that should get started at about 9:45, between 9:45 and 10 o'clock, depending on how things go during the first hour. Now, I just mentioned to you just a couple of minutes ago that Facebook was up and running. Well, I noticed that as soon as I said that, um, we started to experience more problems with Facebook. So now it seems to be back on stream. Yeah. Looking pretty good right now. But I'm just giving you the heads up. Don't be too surprised if you see us up and down and up and down and in and out. And not much we can do about that. So there you have it. There you have it. There you have it. Getting back to the rundown. Our main feature this morning. Boy, this is going to be a scorcher, I would imagine. I've got a couple of interesting guys coming in here this morning. I think you know both of them pretty well. Um, the question is, and the way this is captioned on the website this week is to vet or not to vet soca lyrics. Let me try that again. To vet or not to vet calypso and soca lyrics. That is the question. As I mentioned to you a little while ago, the editorial, I think it's in the Canadian Voice, they, they, they dealt with that issue this week. And I've got two people coming in here this morning, and they are Mr. Godfrey Augustin, who is a promoter. Do I really have to tell you who Godfrey is? I mean, this guy, everybody knows about Legends in Concert, big show which we had down at the Trade Center just a couple of weeks ago. Well, Godfrey is coming in this morning, and he's going to be joined by a former Calypso judge. Again, this name is a household name with many of you. His name is Randall Robinson. Oh, singer, opera singer, I should say. Give the man his due, his credit. Well, Randall and Godfrey are going to be taking on this issue this morning about whether or not calypsos and soca music should be vetted. Pros and cons either way, and we're going to hear what these two gentlemen have to say when they get here. I expect that they'll be here at about 10:30 this morning, and that's the time I've asked them to be here. Depending on how things go with the IFE group, maybe a little bit later, but no later than 10:45, I would imagine. So you guys are going to have about an hour and 15 minutes at least bung away on this particular issue. And of course, we're hoping that you will chime in, whether you're right here in Grenada, whether you're out there in the diaspora, or wherever. Would be nice to hear from you because I'm sure a lot of you have some stuff you'd like to get off your chest. So that's your rundown for this Sunday morning, 22nd day of July. And yeah, a little haze out there this morning, but looks pretty darn good so far. Let's hope it continues. We're into the 22nd day of July, and so far we've been spared. Nothing's come our way as far as tropical storms or hurricanes. Let's keep our fingers crossed, okay? Stop running around saying that God is a Grenadian, okay? He's been very good to us. He's spared us. But let's just think back to 2004. Just out of the blue, things happened. After what, about 50 years? Okie doke. Pilgrims, we're going to take our first little break here right now. And we'll come right on back and get started with this week's edition of The Buzz.
Like a diamond, we continue to shine. 85 years, we stood the test of time. Our financial brilliance is all for you. 85 years of making dreams come true.
Grenada, join Core Bank's 85th anniversary diamond celebration. Take out or switch to our diamond anniversary mortgage with zero fees and a chance to win $18,500 for a home project. Or get on vehicle loan, 100% financing on new vehicles and a chance to win $8,500. Or get a quick approval loan up to $20,000. Special terms and conditions apply. Check in branch and online for details.
Grenada Market has now introduced the prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeverpick, Nutmed, Bourbonday and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Okie dokie, folks. 12 minutes already gone. Can you believe that? 12 minutes after the hour. Right now, let's turn to. Before we get into the buzz, let me make a quick visit here to the Rumble chat on GrenadaBroadcast.com. Let's see who's there this morning already. Anthea, hello Anthea. You're not at work today, girl? Looks like Anthea is going to be joining us today. I hope she can. We'd be very, very happy about that. She's out in Decatur, Georgia. And I also see that Kipling is there. Now, Kipling has written, I haven't pre-read this, but I'm going to give it a shot. Kipling says, "Good morning, Mr. Grant, Mr. Chester and class. God's blessings to all. I'm appealing to all listeners to SWGG online. Please share so that many more would learn that not all generations are dumb, brainless, and lack basic understanding. Those are the feelings given out after listening to some of the call-in programs, especially, oh boy, I'm not going to mention the name of the station. I'm not going to go that route, sir. I'm not. But he mentions the name of a particular station here. Please help to change that and share SWGG. Well, Kipling, thank you very much. By the way, folks, yes. So far, like I said, right now, it looks like it's going just fine. But I would appreciate it if you shared the program with us on Facebook this morning. So please pay attention to what Mr. Kipling Francis had to say. Dennis, hello, Dennis out there in Wanstead. He's saying, good morning, class. It's a bit cloudy here in London, but still nice and warm. Make the most of it, Dennis, because in just a couple of months from now, you'll be saying, hey guys, time to head back down to Carriacou. Yeah? And of course, we'd love to have you. We will rise, saying good morning to all. Rainy morning in October. Hello. So that's where you are. We will rise. We will rise is in my old neighborhood. He or she lives in Etobicoke. Maybell Avenue. Do you know where that is? Yeah? Do you know where that is? Maybell Avenue. Thanks for letting me know where you are, Mr. or Mrs. We Will Rise. And then good old Jackie. Hello, Jackie, who's just down the road here. She's saying good morning all. Nice to see you, Jackie. Say hi to Jaden for me. And Chester. Chester saying good morning all. Greetings from a warm but cloudy Zurich, Switzerland. Morning to Mr. Clipling. Blessed Sunday to all. Grenada Promotions is listening. Yes, Grenada Promotions, as always. Real pleasure having you on board. Thanks for joining us. Now. I think that's it on the Rumble chat so far. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's it on the Rumble chat so far. Now, let us get to today's edition of The Buzz. And we will begin with a reading from the Holy Scripture. Therefore, you shepherds and pilgrims, I want you to listen to this very carefully. Listen to this very carefully as it relates to this country. The reading, by the way, comes from Ezekiel 34, verses 7 to 10, which says, Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, because my flock lacks a shepherd, and so has been plundered, and has become food for all the wild animals. And because my shepherds did not search for my flock, but cared for themselves rather than for my flock. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against the shepherds and will hold them accountable for my flock. I will remove them from tending the flock, so that the shepherds can no longer feed themselves. I will rescue my flock from their mouths, and it will no longer be food for them. If you don't believe me, pick up your Bible, turn to Ezekiel 34, verses 7 to 10. All right? That is your first reading today from the Holy Scriptures. As always, we'll have another one for you just before we wrap it up come high noon. Now, let me sit up here. It's time to turn to our contribution this week from Little Angel. She says, there was much to learn from your program last Sunday, which featured individuals with a heart who care and know how to serve. Among them was Dr. Earl Nicholas Brathwaite, who delivered the convocation address to graduates at McMaster University on June 12th, and from which much could be derived by persons who were fortunate to hear and listen. By now, it is obvious that Dr. Brathwaite is highly successful. Co-founder, developer, chief executive officer, chairman, director, vice president, chief technology officer, corporate leader, investor, inventor, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and McMaster alumnus were some of the titles attributed to him on June 12, 2018, when McMaster also honored him as Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Okay? During his address, Dr. Brathwaite displayed humility. He admitted to never seeking personal accolades and allowing others to influence his decisions. He recognized one individual whom he said was responsible for some of the good decisions he made. Dr. Brathwaite was abundantly clear in stating that no business, no product, no endeavor was successful because of any one person, but that it takes a team to not only encourage and support, but to also challenge. He went on to explain that there is need for others to tell us when we are wrong. Dr. Brathwaite assured the DeGroote School of Business students that money is necessary, but intellectual capital, passion, and the desire to make a difference are more important to the world, and that they should serve humanity with integrity and compassion. The ability to make a difference depends on how much one cares. Money follows ideas. The right intellectual capital can amplify the value of limited financial resources, were among sentiments expressed by Dr. Brathwaite. His involvement with the T.A. Marichaux Community College project in Grenada demonstrates his understanding of the benefits of education. Grenada and the rest of the world need more people like Dr. Brathwaite. We were more than grateful to hear and listen to him. But to think and act like Dr. Brathwaite calls for more than just being ourselves. We will need to lift the bar to first become humane, humble, mature, committed, spiritual, generous, and inspirational. Not everyone is fortunate enough to possess and display these qualities, and as a people responsible for choosing leaders every 5 years, we too must be aware of what makes a good leader. Leaders should be passionate to serve. Finally, it will benefit those who are in leadership positions in Grenada to choose Dr. Brathwaite as a role model, to pay attention, listen, learn from a locally born, highly regarded, and respected individual. Signed, Little Angel. That's her contribution for this week. Thanks a lot, Little Angel. Now, let's turn to the results of the poll. Let's see here. What time is it? 9:22. Let's turn to the results of the poll, which we had on GrenadaBroadcast.com this past week. The question was it appropriate for Prime Minister Mitchell to appoint his son as an advisor to the Ministry of Finance, a ministry which he heads? Well, pilgrims, talk about a blowout. I've seen worse, but here's the blowout for you. 91% of you said, heck no, it was not appropriate. But 9% of you said, yeah, what's the big deal? Huh? Okay. Those are the results from last week. Then last night, we put another one up there. And as I mentioned to you earlier on this morning, it has to do with the main discussion we're going to be having when we get to the feature a little later on this morning. Should a vetting process be implemented for the lyrics presented by local calypsonians and soca artists to public audiences? And you have two choices, yes or no. In other words, should calypsos and soca music be vetted? Yes? No. And in addition to chiming in on the website, later on today or whatever, sometime during the course of the week, you'll be able to give us a call a little later on this morning as well to let us have your thoughts. Right now, we're going to take another little break here, come back, get started with our editorials.
Conveniently located in the Grand Anne Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grand Anse will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep,
Baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
A message from Grenlick.
For convenience, bill payments can be made at Bill Express at Western Union. Many of these are open until 6 p.m., including Saturdays. A 24-hour check drop box is also available at Grenlick's customer care centers at Grand Anse and Bruce Street.
Grenlick, energizing our Grenada. Call us at 237 or visit grenlick.com.
Okie doke, folks. 25 and a half minutes after the hour. I tell you what, let's go right into the first of our editorials. Okie doke. The editorial which appears in this past week's edition of Grenada Advocate is captioned, "Continue to elevate our West Indies cricket team." While we do not wish to take anything away from France and its supporters, some of them here, following that country's triumph in last Sunday's World Cup final against Croatia, we must still spare a moment for the West Indies cricket team. While football fans are celebrating the glory of France, which won the 2018 FIFA Football World Cup in Russia, those who still follow West Indies cricket will equally have as much to rejoice about, with the Caribbean teams thumping of Bangladesh in the two-match cricket series. The West Indies, admirably led by our own Jason Holder, won the series in convincing style. Holder played a pivotal role in that victory, taking 11 wickets in the match, which ended inside the 5 days on Saturday at Sabina Park in Jamaica. It was refreshing to see how the West Indies disposed of Bangladesh. They were outplayed by the Caribbean team and seemingly unable to come to terms with the pace of the wickets in Antigua, the venue for the first match, and Jamaica. While one swallow does not make a summer, we have to be elated that the victory against Bangladesh, following the 1-1 series draw earlier against Sri Lanka, is going to ease the worries displayed by several Caribbean cricket fans. These days, not much had been happening for West Indies cricket, with a string of losses and many fans bothered about whether our cricket could ever come back and reclaim the glory it did between the 1980s and mid-1990s. We had lost series to India and New Zealand and were forced to play among the weaker teams in order to qualify for the next ICC Cricket World Cup. Windies did qualify. However, it shows the depth to which our cricket had fallen when the Windies was not an automatic choice for the forthcoming World Cup, even in spite of the fact that the Caribbean team had won the Cricket World Cup twice in succession and being a losing finalist. Currently, there are teams which have never won the Cup. Yet, this fact is something that somehow has escaped the attention of the International Cricket Council, the ICC, who are the organizers of the competitions. The point that must be considered from all of this and the performances of the team in the two test series involving West Indies versus Sri Lanka and Bangladesh is that there is still hope for our cricket to emerge once again. West Indies, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh are rated down the order in international cricket. Had the West Indies won the series against Sri Lanka, it would have given them a higher ranking, especially when the win against Bangladesh was factored in. Our present crop of players have the ability to compete against the best. The problem seems to be a lack of concentration on their part for lengthy spells, and a lack of recognition that cricket is a mind game. These are issues that the coach, the manager, the captain, and other senior members must try to work out. There is still a long way to push the Caribbean cricket higher up the ladder. No effort should be spared by those in control to keep working at our game so that one day the Windies cricket will bounce back. That's the editorial which appears in this past week's edition of Grenada Advocate. Hello. Okay. It's 28 and a half minutes now away from 10 o'clock. Time's flying. Half hour gone. Okay. So, right now, let's take another little break and we'll come on back with another editorial.
Hubbard's Agency, located on Kiran and James Boulevard, St. George, carries a wide range of quality brands such as Dutch Lady Milk, Danny Chicken Luncheon Meat and Salami, Welch's Juices, Chief Seasonings and Snacks, Rinse Laundry Detergent, Bop, and so much more. For a quality wholesale experience, visit our store today. Our experienced and friendly staff awaits you. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Like a diamond, we continue to shine. 85 years, we stood the test of time. Our financial brilliance is all for you. 85 years of making dreams come true.
Grenada, join Core Bank's 85th anniversary diamond celebration. Take out or switch to our diamond anniversary mortgage with zero fees and the chance to win $18,500 for a home project. Or get on vehicle loan, 100% financing on new vehicles and the chance to win $8,500. Or get a quick approval loan up to $20,000. Special terms and conditions apply. Check in branch and online for details. Welcome home.
The editorial, which appears in this past week's edition of the Grenadian Voice, is captioned, Mr. Minister, vetting can enhance creativity. Complaints and gripes about the lyrical content of some recently released songs continue to increase as we prepare for Spice Mass 2018. The lasciviousness and vulgarity associated with this time of year seem to be evident, not only in behavior, but also in songs People may recall the high standard implemented during the 70s and 80s when local songs were encouraged as opposed to dancing to Trinidad calypsos at our carnival. That was also the time when the X-rated songs were kept strictly for the adult audience in the tents. Today, people in power who can demand better choose to ignore that fact, which results in songs with distasteful lyrics being played in public. There are many naturally talented young Grenadians who can do better even in choosing a topic to sing about, when opportunities are presented to learn from professionals. However, it is evident that guidance, which comes in many forms, is missing. Experienced calypsonians, Black Wizard, Beast, and Scholar had programs to introduce the calypso art form to young people. Teacher Eddie also works with young people in St. David. Unfortunately, the performers taking center stage seem unaware of the of the double entendre and satire that are crucial in creating a song. During a recent post-cabinet media briefing, Minister of Youth, Senator the Honorable Nolan Cox, suggested that vetting songs may stifle creativity. We suggest that he reconsider his statements. Vetting may be one way to build an acceptable standard for lyrics. Without such standard, the lewd lyrics will bombard the airwaves while children are at home listening. In last Sunday's Anglican service, Archdeacon Marshall, in delivering his sermon, shared those sentiments. In fact, the Archdeacon said that censoring the songs can help the young singers to understand that there are acceptable standards. The raw talent our young people are blessed with should be properly harnessed. There was a time when radio and television stations took pride in tailoring programs to suit the time of the day. Hardcore programs and songs were aired at night. By taking responsibility for what was aired, the stations had music libraries. DJs and program hosts were not allowed to use their personal collection of music unless it was vetted and approved by the librarian. Everyone conformed, and the system of vetting within radio and television stations worked well back then. There was also a difference in playing songs and presenting songs. Some of us who listen to radio would love to connect a song to the singer. Unfortunately, this does not always seem to matter to DJs and program hosts today. The long playlist by the computer on auto drive has taken a deep root. This lazy radio is a disservice to listeners and the singers striving for recognition. Should songs with unacceptable lyrics be aired in the daytime? A better idea is to use them in specific programs to create discussions and avoid playing them at will, since we should be mindful of what we are feeding to our young minds on school vacation. Taking a tip from MTV News, the DJs can create a slot called tongue-in-cheek, which would be rated PG and played at night. Some singers have evidently gone overboard with their choice of topics and lyrics. Where are the gatekeepers? G now led a successful fight against the song Kickin' She Back Door. We encourage the women's organization to keep up the struggle and demand a high standard of music and programs on the nation's airwaves. We refer to our interview with Catholic Bishop Clyde Harvey and his thoughts on the songs. The bishop suggested that the Calypsonians should deal with the core problems of our society. Speak to us about who we are as Grenadians and avoid songs just to whine and jam. He added that we continue to define ourselves economically, yet the most important thing for any society is to discover its roots. People in the church who play carnival should look for ways to have it rooted firmly in the Grenadian reality. In encouraging a higher standard, Bishop Harvey noted the success of Bob Marley, who began his songs by speaking to Jamaica. And then he realized that there was a rhythm to it. And within that rhythm, there was a message which propelled him internationally. In a Grenadian context, the Grenadian Voice urges our very talented singers and musicians to aim higher as they strive to make it to the top. Try to create songs that will survive longer than the few days of Spice Bass. You may want to explore ways of getting it right, such as joining the choir in the church, which will provide free voice training. You can also make the first move in seeking counseling from the senior singers. After all, while some people may not agree that experience is the best teacher, it certainly is a very good one. And that's your editorial from the Grenadian Voice. Okie doke, folks. I'll tell you what, it's now 18 minutes away from 10 o'clock. Our first guests have begun arriving, and tell you what, with the hurricane season, why don't we listen to this before we get into our next editorial?
Preparation is key to all we do, and when it comes to the hurricane season, it's also important to prepare and plan ahead. Grenlec is encouraging you to start preparing now. Have you and your family discussed an emergency evacuation plan? Do you have your emergency disaster kit ready with non-perishable food items, water, sanitation supplies, and important documents? Have you identified your nearest emergency shelter? The time to prepare is now. For more information, visit www.grenlec.com.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover household that's comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Alrighty, folks, the following is the editorial which appears in this past week's edition of Carib Update Weekly. It is captioned, Carnival, change and evolution are inevitable. Carnival activities are moving full speed ahead in Grenada with the competition among artistes and the annual concomitant analyses and commentaries on the warts and virtues of Spice Mass in particular, and sometimes too on Carnival in the Caribbean in general. We are certain that everyone would agree that despite the sparing exception, there is room for improvement in all aspects of Carnival, including songwriting, musical arranging of calypsos, soca, and steel pan, and in the organizing and managing of the festival. But our assessment of Carnival must be sober and not fueled by a dislike of the festival or hankering for a return of a carnival of a bygone era, or harbingering about the death of Carnival. The claim that Carnival, whether here or elsewhere, is dead or dying is pure and simple hyperbole. Carnival ain't going nowhere. There are too many people who love the festival and are passionate about it and are willing to participate in Carnival at any time, every time. And as well, there is too much money to be made by government and the private sector to allow Carnival's demise. Many also need to calm down instead of going berserk over recent and modern changes that have occurred in Carnival. Carnival and the pillars of the festival, like Calypso, Pan, and Masquerade, always have been marked by change. And it's not an argument of whether any change is good or bad. It's simply the inevitable result of things such as evolving ideas and new technology. The battle over prizes, the perennial bickering over money, and the attempt at marshalling and controlling the masqueraders were not a remote thought when our African foreparents began Carnival celebrations in Grenada or Trinidad. But things have changed. Pans nowadays are of a higher quality than the instruments of the 1960s, and the young players of today, by and large, are more skilled and possess better techniques as panists than our counterparts of long ago. The clamoring to go back because the old days were better is unrealistic, and it's not going to happen. It's not true either that the old-time days were always better. Our current generation has taken a liking to soca music and masquerading as jab-jabs. We can criticize them, as is our right, but we must also try to understand them. Playing a wicked jab-jab is infinitely cheaper than purchasing a fancy mass costume costing hundreds of dollars. The poor of our community flocked to fancy mass when costumes were homemade or only required a tailor or a seamstress stitching together a few flour bags, or the wearing of a sailor's cap, a dog muzzle, or some other relatively cheap item. For those of us with an aversion to Carnival, avoid the festival as much as is possible and explore other options, like spending more time at one of the many beaches across the country. Carnival is back now, always has been, and some people's sensibilities and tastes have always been offended by the bacchanalist nature of the festival. including the imbibing of alcohol and the beating of steel pans and skin drums. Today, the purist, the traditionalists, the religious, and many others who virtually advocate for the emasculation of Carnival and would prefer the festival to go the way of the dinosaur complain incessantly about too much whining at Carnival. They decry the blackness of the jab, and the skimpiness of costumes has been on the receiving end of Carnival's opprobrium. Only a few more weeks now are left to the end of Spice Mass, which concludes on August 14th. It's difficult to overlook the feverish efforts of the Grenada Steel Bands Association, led by Jason Skeet, to ensure that there is no repeat of the 2017 fiasco when the senior panorama was canceled on the night of the competition. This year's competition is Saturday, August 11th, at the Karani James Stadium. Our hope is that the many people who appeared apoplectic and were spitting righteous anger at the cancellation of last year's senior panorama would purchase tickets this year and patronize the event on August 11th. The safety and security of the masqueraders and spectators are always a high priority of the Royal Grenada Police Force. Edvin Martin will be overseeing Spice Mass for the first time in his capacity as Commissioner of the RGPF. Commissioner Martin ought to instruct his officers to strictly enforce the laws prohibiting the sale and use of alcohol by minors. Too many incidents at Carnival involve drunken minors and young adults. The Spice Mass Corporation, for its part, can be very helpful by instituting policies restricting the sale of beverage in breakable containers at SMC events. Breakable containers often become dangerous projectiles in settling disputes between and among unruly patrons at an event. And that's your editorial, which appeared in this past week's edition of the Carib Update Weekly.
The Rotary Clubs in Grenada invite you to its biggest ever all-inclusive Carnival Sunday Fest at Spice Basket on Sunday, August 12th. Join us as together we celebrate 50 years of service to the Grenadian people. There will be fireworks display, pan wizards, trios, Now, Solid the Band, Dash, Talpree, Scorpion, Shotpree, and The Inspector, DJ Blackstorm, and Small Clothes. Admission $200. Starting time 12 noon. Unlimited drinks and a wide variety of local foods. On Sunday, August 12th, Spice Basket.
Grenada Market has now introduced Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeberpick, Nutmeg, Bourbonday, and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
And the editorial which appeared in this past week's edition of The New Today is captioned, yes sirree, it is captioned, The Haitian Syndrome. Yes. Is Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell turning Grenada into a new Haiti, like what existed in the Duvalier era in the Western Hemisphere's poorest nation? The throne was passed from Francois Papadoc Duvalier, who ruled from 1957 to 1971, when he died, to his son, Jean-Claude Baby Doc Duvalier, until he was overthrown in a popular uprising in 1986. The New Today is forced to ask the question above, in light of Dr. Mitchell's appointment of his own son, Olinga Mitchell, a U.S.-trained attorney at law with no experience in governmental affairs, to the post of legal advisor in the Ministry of Finance. The people of Grenada seem to be not looking at the bigger picture that is emerging before their very eyes. The creation of a Mitchell dynasty in the country. This newspaper understands that the appointment of Olinga was done unilaterally and single-handedly by the Prime Minister without any notification to the Cabinet of Ministers that he was bringing his son into the realms of government. It should be noted that Dr. Mitchell did nothing wrong, as the Constitution of Grenada empowers him to make the appointment on his own deliberate judgment. The fact is that all ministers of government are given cabinet positions on the pleasure of the Prime Minister in accordance with the dictates of the Constitution. What is significant about the Olinga appointment is that the important Ministry of Finance, for the first time in the history of Grenada, will be run by a father and son combination, Dr. Mitchell as the Supremo and Olinga as the one providing the advice to his father. This is dangerous in light of the fact that in the coming years, government is looking to earn most of its revenue flowing into its coffers of the Treasury through its oil and gas resources, now in the hands of the Russian outfit, Global Petroleum Group, or GPG. So, in effect, the stage is being set right now for all of the money due to Grenada to be placed under the control of the Mitchell family. This can indeed be frightening and setting a dangerous precedent for the country. After the March 13th election, Prime Minister Mitchell relinquished the energy portfolio to his long-standing deputy and confidant, Gregory Bowen. This is merely of academic interest, since there is nothing of interest or significance that Minister Bowen can now do in terms of negotiations with the oil and gas agreement with the Russians. What is there to negotiate further with the Russians? Absolutely nothing. The negotiations have already taken place, and the CPG outfit has an agreement in hand outlining what is expected of them in the oil deal, including the disbursement of funds to Grenada from the proceeds of oil and gas sales. Once the oil and gas money begin to flow, only two persons, Dr. Mitchell and his son, in the capacity as legal advisor to the Ministry of Finance, can determine the use of this money within government. Persons within the ruling New National Party should take note that the stage is also being set for Olinga Mitchell to become a serious and significant player in the political direction of this country. He is already amassing serious wealth from doing business on the island under the watch of his father. The New Today has documents in its possession from the Supreme Court Registry concerning a company set up by the son of the Prime Minister to engage in the importation of sand, most likely for sale to the state-run statutory body known as Gravel and Concrete. Olinga is also involved in the sale of passports through the Citizenship by Investment program set up under his father's government. In addition, the son of the Prime Minister is involved in another company that is seeking to become a major player in the export of GCNA nutmegs to the Russians and others in Europe. Olinga's name also came up in the secret deal in which a fleet of vehicles was brought into the country for the Royal Grenada Police Force, in which the line minister is Prime Minister Mitchell. It was alleged back then that the son of a former customs guard was used as the front man to help facilitate the importation of the vehicles, but that others hid in the background and came up with the finance to purchase the fleet. The Mitchell family is already in control of the headquarters of the new National Party at Mount Helicon, and the exit of Dr. Mitchell from frontline politics could see the grand entry of his son in the St. George Northwest constituency. And those who are eyeing the job of political leader of the ruling party could face the prospect of having to engage in a serious encounter with the Mitchell family and Olinga in particular for continued use of Mount Helicon. Finally, the 2018 to 2023 period of NNP rule in Grenada might be noted for one thing of significance: the passing of the baton from father to son, as was the case with the Duvalier family in the impoverished island of Haiti. Pilgrims, that's your editorial, which appeared in this past week's edition of the New Today.
Preparation is key to all we do, and when it comes to the hurricane season, it's also important to prepare and plan ahead. Grenlec is encouraging you to start preparing now. Have you and your family discussed an emergency evacuation plan? Do you have your emergency disaster kit ready with non-perishable food items, water, sanitation supplies, and important documents? Have you identified your nearest emergency shelter? The time to prepare is now. For more information, visit www.grenlec.com. Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zebrapick, Nutmed, Bourbon-Day, and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, it's coming up on 4 minutes after 10 o'clock, and let's start by taking a look across here. See them? See those two faces? They're actually sitting right here in the studio with me this morning. The one with the big grin on the left there is Nicoyanne Roberts. Hello, Nicoyanne. Good morning, and how are you?
Good morning, George. I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having us on the show.
My pleasure. Now, there are two other ladies who are going to be participating in this, and one is sitting next to you. And I want you to tell me, I'm not sure which is which, so I want you to tell me which is which, because we do have somebody who is also going to be joining us on Skype in just a little bit. Who's the lady sitting next to you?
Jennifer Gibbs Alexander.
Is this the Dr. Jennifer Gibbs?
No.
That's not the Dr. Jennifer Gibbs.
There's a Dr. Jennifer Gibbs?
No, I mean, okay. Jennifer,
No.
nice to meet you.
Same here, George.
And Jennifer Gibbs is listed here as the president of the Anglican High School
Past
Pupils Association
in
the
New
Big
York,
in
yes,
New York.
yes.
Okay, so you're just here to help get ready for this big do?
No, actually, I'm here because my mom will be celebrating her 95th birthday on Tuesday.
Happy birthday, Mom!
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
So, and Nikki sort of
Roped her in.
Yes.
She's a member of the planning
Yes.
committee remotely. And since she was here, we said, you know, it's a good opportunity for us to come and chat with you. Karis is Skyping in from Carriacou.
Yeah, we're going to get her in just a minute. I'm just going to set that up in a minute. But I want you to start, Nicoyanne, by talking a little bit about IFE and, you know, reminiscing about your days back at IFE.
That's right. Jenny and I are members of the first cohort who entered in 1979, the Institute for Further Education. And that institute, that educational facility, took students in from 1979 until 1988. And we're having this reunion, we're planning a reunion for all of the alumni who entered during that period, and the reunion is going to be next August, August 2019, from the 15th to the 18th of August. We've dedicated the reunion, and here I want to say good morning to all of the listening audience, Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, the diaspora. And when I speak of the rationale for the reunion, I want to especially reach out to Jacqueline McKenzie in London. Hi, Jackie. Jackie sent us this rationale. She's put it really succinctly to remember our dear friend Jenny James Nee Samuel, who attended IFE with us from 1979 to 1981. Jenny came home last year and she was speaking with a number of alumni, her friends, about us having a reunion. And unfortunately, Jenny returned to the US and she has since passed. She
Okay.
passed on January 20th. She would have been 55
Wow.
on the 19th of July. And we're dedicating this reunion to her. Jenny's untimely death last January led to a committed planning team of IFE alumni coming together to organize a reunion.
Okay, I'm extending my condolences on behalf of George and Shine
Thank you.
on the passing of your friend. Go ahead and tell us who the other party is. I see she's now on there in Carriacou.
Okay, this is Dr. Karis Cummins Bino.
That's the doctor.
That's the doctor.
That's the doctor. So yeah.
And she's on vacation from Massachusetts. And again, we felt, okay, members of the planning team, let's come together, let's reach out. We have WhatsApp groups, but we need to reach out and get more in tune with the others who are out there who maybe haven't heard, or those who have heard, maybe they need a little more information. So we just want to share that information.
Let's get her to say hello. Can you hear us, Doc?
Yes, I'm so happy. I was struggling before, but now I can hear you quite clearly. Yay!
Yay! She's on. Nice to have you along with us. We have quite a listenership out there in Carriacou. I'm sure they're there this morning, and after the program, everybody's going to go searching to find out who's this Dr. Claris. Where's Dr. Claris? So they're coming after you. Nicoyanne, did you all three of you attend IFE together?
Yes, we did. Jenny and I entered in the same year. Jenny actually spent 1 year and then relocated.
Actually, have about 6 months.
6 months, and then she
Yeah,
relocated to
yes.
New York.
Yes, yes.
And Caris entered in 1980, so the year
Okay.
after I entered. So we would have been there together for a year before I graduated. But we have recognized that there are so many alumni members out there, and Caris is going to speak a little to the legacy that we want to leave, because we've received so much as a foundation from the Institute for Further Education. And where we are now in our personal and professional lives, we feel moved to be able to give back. And so the reunion has that component of leaving a scholarship legacy. Caris is the chair of the Scholarship Legacy Committee, so she will get a chance to talk about how we plan to, the vision behind it, and how we can help other young people in Grenada with that foundation, that important foundation of having a good, solid tertiary education.
Well, Karis, we're waiting. Take it away, girl.
Yes, yes. Let me tell you. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for giving us this forum.
My pleasure.
And we really are all set mentally. I'm fully committed. As far as this whole reunion is emerging, I mean, you know, that's something I've had in my heart for the longest while. So it was just the right opportunity. I think it's the right and the opportune time for us, you know, with Jenny's tragedy, so to speak, and just the stage we are in our lives. We need to take stock. I was thinking we need to have a reunion. You travel to the Caribbean, you see all the different youth situations, and you know, as mature adults, we've been given so much. And in terms of what our responsibilities are, or a sense of duty, a sense of patriotism, a sense of what we owe to the world, we as IFE graduates, I think we've been given so much. So in this forum, I'd like us to just spend a little time, lest we take what we've been given for granted. You know, take a little time to explore. So it has to be kind of like a spiritual awakening.
Absolutely.
For us to realize that we've been given so much. So many have sacrificed for us. You know, you look back at our IP days, or you look back at our generation. We are now in our 5th and 6th decades of our lives. And in terms of having this wonderful experience of being a Grenadian, when you think about it, there's nobody behind us who sang the Union Jack or the God Save the Queen. I don't know if that's the same, but we grew up singing God Save the Queen, right?
Yes, we did.
You guys, you remember?
Absolutely.
Then we were school-age kids, and we were the ones who were there singing the patriotic songs of our independence. In the 70s, I mean, that was a spectacular time. If you remember, we were school-age children. Those of us born most of us were born in the 60s who were in this cohort.
She's giving her
And
age
then we
away.
went through to the revolutionary time. That was a phenomenal period that we've lived through. So, and that has really created in us, I mean, as this foundation, we are the foundational people who were a part of this tertiary, the whole concept of advanced education for a broad cross-section of the population. I mean, it's not just the sitting in the classroom, but the promise that was given to us, or the seeds that were planted in us that we should pursue education. Some of us did it to one level or the other, but I don't think anyone who has been through that IFE experience came out with nothing. I don't care what you have done thereafter with your lives. So a lot of us are in the peak of our careers, peak of our health. It doesn't get any better. So this is a time to really commit and see, what we can do to improve the lives of the generations in ways that we've been given so much, And George, let me tell you, I think we know that we're getting older when we start to talk a lot.
Speak for yourself, Doc. Huh? Speak for yourself.
We, it's a wonderful thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm proud to be getting older. I'm 66, man, and I've only just started to have my childhood days.
Oh, you see, so it's a childhood days. Those of us who have raised kids, and my son just turned 19, and I'm like, okay, time for me to pay attention to the world.
Doc, I'm sorry that we're having some internet difficulties here. I'm able to understand a lot of what you're saying, but the audio quality is really not what it should be, and that's a hassle. That's a hassle we constantly have with signals coming out of Carriacou. But nevertheless, it was a real pleasure sitting here listening to you, and a lot of what you said. It sounded like, you were reminiscing about the days when you were back at I-3, the olden times. And I want to turn it over to your two colleagues here and hear their similar. Do you guys have any really fond memories of, attending I-3?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Certainly. Jenny, do you want to go first?
Jenny, go first.
Well, one memory I have, and I think of it, ever so often, is the memory that I have when, of just that spirit of self-help. Because I remember when we started, we didn't have too many classrooms. Space, was an issue. And somehow we
had to clean up.
We
got
the
cleaning up and the painting.
Right, we got aware of that vacant hut,
yes.
And we asked for permission to use the space, and then we had to paint and clean and rehab that space for it to be used as a classroom. So I always think of that. Back then we didn't really know to call and ask for help from abroad, and we didn't know about those things. So it was always, we had to do it ourselves. So I always remember that.
It was the old schoolmaster's hut as you went up to
yes,
the GBSS on the left-hand side.
Right.
And that was our
right
main classroom space.
Right.
And again, it's the feeling of self-sufficiency.
Right.
Because we couldn't call a government office. We couldn't call anybody and ask them. It was all the students. It was free education.
Yes.
It was under the People's Revolutionary Government. And they had said that all of the Form 6 students would now be offered the opportunity to have free education in the Institute for Further Education. But there again, it was a grand vision, but where were the resources?
Right.
And so the students had to be a part of creating that physical space where we can have our classes. And that is a serious testimony to the spirit of the IFE alumni.
Right. Yes.
Fond memories.
Fond memories.
Fond memory. Something that a lot of postgrads don't often forget is just who their tutors were. Do you guys remember some of the people who taught you?
George Brazan.
George
History,
Brazan?
yes.
History,
yes, definitely. And our scholarship legacy is also, the vision is fueled by his contribution to Grenada's educational system. Not just Grenada, because his work is so prolific that it straddles the contributions made to the Caribbean educational system. And we want other young people who travel from the north, who come from challenged social environments. They may be bright, but they don't have the money to buy the books. They don't have the money to pay the fees in TAMCC now, which without lab fees, and so it's 800 EC plus. They don't have money sufficient for transportation to come to school 5 days a week, or when they get to school, some of the teachers would tell you that they have to buy them lunch. So how can we use the scholarship legacy from the IFE alumni to fund at least 5 or 10 students? And this is where we are now. Talking to TAMCC, we have to reach out to Gren Coda and look at the template, look at the costs involved. Who are the students who are committed but don't have the ability to pay for it? And this is where we want to help. This is where we want to leave our strongest legacy.
You know, I would imagine that you're very much aware of the move right now by a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Brathwaite and his organization, the Petner Foundation, with TAMCC. I guess that's music to your ears.
That's music to our ears, because partnerships is how you use resources to make things happen for the greater good. So this is where we are now, reaching out and building those partnerships, so we know that come the next 13 months, when we have the reunion, yes, it will be about fun. Yes, it will be about how we cleaned up the old building and we made Tanya log, and the boys would ration the Tanya log because it was mostly for the boys, not for the girls, and how we played table tennis. But now we're serious people, and we really appreciate being able to give back.
You just took the operative word there from my mouth. Give back. Operative words, I should say, give back. It gives you a really good feeling deep down inside, doesn't it, Jennifer?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it does.
Okay, now, let's turn to the activities. Okay, let's turn to the activities. Who's going to do that? Well, team leader. We're going to get Nikki Ann to do that.
Okay, the members of the core planning team in Grenada. Well, first of all, we spoke about what it is. It's the IFE reunion for alumni from 1979 to 1988. When will it be? Thursday, the 15th of August to Sunday, the 18th of August, 2019. Where will it be? In Pure Grenada, the spice of the Caribbean. And who are the members of the core planning team? In Grenada, you have myself, Richard Duncan, Jeanette Benjamin, Keith Ventu, Pettifer Lewis Smith, Wendy Crawford, Randall Robinson, and Ruth Rouse. Members of the planning team in the diaspora, Jeffrey Smith in Trinidad. Good morning, Jeffrey. Joanne Rose Walker, Heather Bain, Jenny Gibbs Alexander, and Karis Cummins Bino in the USA.
Okay, impressive.
And we have met for the past 3 months every week online using Zoom, so that we can plan, we can talk about, what we're doing, the different activities on the different day. We have a WhatsApp group with, I think now we have about 100, more than 100, just over 100 people on the WhatsApp group, because as soon as you find someone that you can chat to who was an alumni, we have famous alumni all over the world. The governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is an alumni. A member of our media fraternity in Grenada, Brenda Batiste, she's an alumni. And we meet people and we say, have you heard? This is what we're doing. And they say, here's my number. And we put them on the WhatsApp group so we can chat and hash out, these are the activities. What do you think? What can you contribute? We have 7 subcommittees. So each person is getting a chance to give their contribution, which is very important.
You know, I bet you guys, it's not just by coincidence that you guys planned this thing for the dates you did. It had to do with Carnival, didn't it? Come on, look me right in the eye and tell me this didn't have anything to do with Carnival.
Well, yes, you have to seize the opportunity. And we do have people who are going to travel in from Australia. Good morning, Susan Berkeley. And I know she's online and she's listening. And we had a few persons throw out dates. We looked at a time around Easter. We looked at a time between June and July. And then we said, look, a lot of people in the diaspora come home for Spice Mass and for Christmas. So let's see if we can leverage the fact that we'll have so many people here for Spice Mass 2019, and we can do this event right after Carnival.
All right, thanks, Nikki Ann. I want to get back to Karis for just a sec. Karis, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Karis, I want you to, you have an attentive audience out there right now. In just a wee bit, I'm going to be reading the names of places where people are listening to you around the world. But right now, there are probably youngsters out there who are the ages that you were when you went to IFE. I want you to take a minute and speak to these kids. You know, I'm sitting here with three people who have been successful in their own ways over the years, all graduates of IFE. And I think it's important that we try to encourage the youngsters to pursue a sound education. And a sound education doesn't have to mean ihad. You know, it could be a lot of fun. As I listen to you guys, I can tell that you enjoyed your days in school. Talk to these kids for me, please, Karis.
Yeah, I mean, first let me say the fact that I had been a teacher. I taught at GBSS from 1982 to 1986. And that was another part of my development personally that really inspired or continues to inspire me to really reach out to the youths, to let them know. It doesn't matter how, quote unquote, right you are or you're determined to be. It doesn't matter your limitations or the obstacles you see in front of you. I would like all the youths to know that once you're determined, one of the quotes that I've always held close to my heart is that it takes 1% of it says it takes 99% of inspiration in order to be a genius, meaning you really, anything that we dream about, any dream that we embed in our hearts and in our minds, despite what limitations we see, despite what others may say cannot be done, that's absolutely every individual has that ability to defy the odds, to press forward, to overcome obstacles once you have a desire. So the most important thing for a youth is to always aim to things that look impossible. It's okay. And you work, and doors will open in ways that you don't know how, but they will open if you really strive, despite the limitations and the obstacles you perceive in accomplishing your goals.
And don't be daunted by the frustrations that may pop up from time to time.
You keep on going. Dreams, continue to have desires to do better than you can anticipate based on your circumstances.
All right, let me turn it over now to Nicoyanne. Can you sort of echo her sentiments? You know, speak to the kids. You're here with them. You live with them. Talk to them.
I live with them, and I want them to know that life is more than the now of excitement and fun and parties. That you can have a taste of now, and you can have even more of it later. But if you invest in your education now, broadening your mind through academia, but yes, also through community outreach, helping others. You may have a friend in your class who may be struggling with what they're doing, and you're good at it, you're having fun, you're just doing enough to pass an exam, and your friend sitting next to you is struggling a bit. Take some time and work with that friend to help them so that they can pass an exam. You will even do better, because through your mentorship of your friend, you will be strengthening your own academic skill in that particular subject area. And in IFE, this was the kind of thing that our friends did. We came from different schools, whether it was in any part of the country, St. George's, St. David's, Grenville, but we helped each other. I may have been struggling with statistics, but Kennedy, my friend from IFE, would help me with statistics. And so I was able to get a better grade. And that was able to help him do even better. And I am sure that the young people today, they have more than we had in a sense, because through the technologies that exist today, they have access to information that we would have had to go to the library and pick up a book and sit down with it to amass. But they can go online, get information on anything they need, discuss with each other, share with each other, help each other to grow. They can see things that need doing in the community. TAMCC has a community outreach program where students can go to the GSPCA. They can give some time so they, at this level, can also give back. And yes, the parties and having fun, that's important, but what you invest in your foundation years in terms of your academic achievements will fuel the path for you to get even further, be more, and be able to give more.
You get the final say, Jennifer.
On this subject?
Yes.
That's right.
Oh, well, I was thinking of myself at 16, and, you know, it's the distractions that we had then, and there are even more now. And the kids today, you know, is just trying to find a good balance, you know, fun, study, you know, getting involved in some kind of a service project or, you know, some kind of exercise, athletics, what it might be, you know, have a good mix, you know, and focus on that. And just basically, it's okay to fail, it's okay not to do well. And you know, if you're struggling and you have, you know, sometimes too kids get depressed, they feel down, you know, seek out a mentor, seek out somebody, you know, share your feelings, tell somebody I need help with this subject, I'm not doing well, or I may be feeling down today, I feel depressed today, you know, just ask for help, ask for help. And, you know, and know that, you know, it's going to get better going forward.
You have to be optimistic.
Yeah, you have to be optimistic, yes.
All right, ladies, listen, thank you very much. I want you to repeat for me just before we wrap it up, Nikki, and the details about the activities, the venues, and the dates.
Okay, Thursday, the 15th of August, 2019, we have a meet and greet reception, meet and mingle, and that will be at, it starts at 7 p.m. We are working to confirm the venue right now, the Trade Center Annex. And on the Friday, we have a career day. We're putting the profile, the information, the template together. That professional day will allow us outreach to present students at TAMCC, where we bring professionals in, do panel discussions on education, business opportunities, entrepreneurship, so the students can have a chance to speak with us, the alumni who are now professionals, and get guidance as to where they go, questions about, you know, their future development. On the Saturday, we have some fun tours planned, some of them hikes that have been requested to Mount Kwakwa. Don't know if we still get to do that, folks. We have a beach lime at Wildwoods Park that afternoon from 3 to 6. The Sunday, we're hoping to have Mass at Blessed Sacrament in Grandans, and then culminate at 6:30 that evening with a dinner and dance, and that is probably when we will find the opportunity to do the scholarship award presentations.
Okay. And by the way, earlier on you mentioned the names of people who are on your planning group, and I think one of them is going to be one of our next guests, a gentleman by the name, I don't know if you know him, Randall Robinson?
Randall Robinson, yes. He is the chairman of the Transportation Subcommittee, yes.
Transportation.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're going to be talking with him in just a wee bit. So thanks a lot, ladies. Any parting word from you, Karis?
Yes, yes. I would like our audience or the IFP community to be mindful that by all means, we have not worked out everything and we still need all hands on deck to sort out exactly how we're going to do things, and all ideas are welcome, and
Okay.
active participation of all.
Okay.
We really don't want people to think that, okay, this group has it all sorted out, so everybody has to sit back. No, we want everyone to really understand we don't have it all sorted out fully.
Okay.
And all ideas and all contributions. The scholarship issue is at the baby infancy stage. We have so much to work on about that, but we just need commitment to begin with, an understanding of what we're trying to do. We're really trying to make Grenada a better place for generations to come. And we really need to pool our resources, whether it's ideas, our monies, to really make an impact.
Okay.
George, before we go, can I mention that we have created a Facebook page, and the name of the page is IFE Reunion 2019. It's time. And on that page, we will have information about the scheduled events, accommodations, registration information, the cost and fees that will be associated with that. And we are also asking that the alumni, share pictures of their time that they may have of, during the IFE days, and also memories. We like them, we want the page to be lively and interactive. We want to generate interest and excitement for the upcoming reunion. And we're also asking, anybody who's out there,
if they can send an email to the IFE 2019 reunion at gmail.com to keep in touch with us.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And to the present listeners, visit our page, like it, and share, because we need you as well to, help us to make this reunion successful. Thank you.
Now, here is something interesting. I guess all of you gentlemen, all of you ladies know a gentleman by the name of Ricardo Keynes Douglas.
Oh, yes, we do.
Well, guess what? I have just received a WhatsApp here from Mr. Keynes Douglas. And he says, George, get her number for me. My show is on Friday the 17th. They could include it since they're not doing anything on the Friday. I'm going to send the bill out to
Yes, Ricardo, Kidnap Love. We will definitely add Kidnap Love to our schedule of activities. Good morning.
Ricardo.
Spread the word.
Spread the word.
Yes. Okay, ladies, thank you so much. Best of luck. And Mr. Robinson, I'm sure, is looking forward to participating in a lot of those activities. And I promised you I'd let you know where people were listening to you or are listening to you around the world this morning. So let's give it a crack. They're out there in Stuttgart in Germany, Tunapuna in Trinidad, Wanstead in England, Ellenwood in Georgia, Manchester in England, Kennewick in Washington State. Yeah, Kennewick. Ellenwood in Georgia, Mississauga, Ontario, Chateauguay in Quebec, York in Pennsylvania, Carshalton in England, Scarborough in Ontario, Darlinghurst, I think that's in, hold on a minute, I could be wrong, but I think that, Australia.
Yes, that's probably Suzanne.
Yes.
Hello, Susan. Susan's listening in Darlinghurst in Australia, Toronto in Canada, North York, Ontario, Wilde, Barbados, Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, Catford in England, Wilde, Barbados again, Kingstown, St. Vincent, Greenford in England, Miami, Florida, Las Vegas, Nevada, Brooklyn, New York. And these, by the way, are all in addition to the people here, okay? Hillsborough, New Jersey, Port of Spain, Trinidad, St. Vincent again, Roseau, Dominica, Douglasville in Georgia, Pickering in Ontario, Canada, Washington, D.C. Ivana. You wish it. Yes. Huddersfield in England, West Palm Beach in Florida, London, Ontario, Cambridge, Ontario, Charlotte, North Carolina, Brooklyn, and New York. I'm skipping through a lot of these because they're duplicates. Roseau, Dominica, Miami, Florida, Montreal, Quebec, Brampton, Ontario, Maple, Ontario, Zurich in Switzerland. I think I know who that is.
I think I do as well.
Yeah.
Hi, Nestor.
Oh,
Mr.
Nesta?
Aberdeen, yes.
Yes, that's probably. Is that where she is?
Yeah. But there's also Chester, who's in Zurich, Switzerland. So we'll probably see
Oh,
another.
okay.
Yeah, okay. Sans here we go, Saint-Sauveur, my favorite little town in north of Montreal. That's our good friend over there. Virginia Beach in Virginia. St. John's, Antigua. Ruislip in England. Beckenham in England. New York. Brooklyn, New York. Hey, folks. Just some of those who
So
are...
hopefully we have some alumni who are listening right now and would be
Yeah.
making plans to attend the reunion
Yeah.
next year.
That would be great.
Yes.
And you know, I have some news to break to you guys too. I don't know if you were listening to the early part of the program this morning, but we were having some difficulties with Facebook. And they were coming and going. And for the last, since you guys got on, they've been gone. Okay? But hold on. The program is being recorded and will be placed on Facebook later on today. Okay?
Thank you.
So you get to see it anyway.
Thank you, George.
Thanks,
All right.
George. Okay.
Thanks a lot, folks. And my next two guests are here. And I'm sort of fastening my seatbelt because, you know, when these two get together, it should be very, 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 very interesting. I'm talking about Randall Robinson and Godfrey Augustine. Oh, yes, sirree. They're coming in here this morning to talk about the vetting of soca and calypso lyrics. Actually, the segment is captioned "To Vet or Not to Vet, Calypso and Soca Lyrics." That is the question. Okay. And we're going to take a little break right now, and we're going to come back with these guys right after this.
Grenada Market has now
you,
introduced
George.
prime products
You're
to online
welcome.
shoppers in the UK via Amazon.co.uk. Zebrapick, Nutmeg, Bourbonday, and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Conveniently located in the Grand Anne Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep,
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Like a diamond, we continue to shine. 85 years, we stood the test of time. Our financial brilliance is all for you. 85 years of making dreams come true.
Grenada, join Core Bank's 85th Anniversary Diamond Celebration. Take out or switch to our Diamond Anniversary Mortgage with 0 fees and the chance to win $18,500 for a home project. Or get our vehicle loan, 100% financing on new vehicles and the chance to win $8,500. Or get a quick approval loan up to $20,000. Special terms and conditions apply. Check in branch and online for details. Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks, we are back. They have saddled up. So have I. I'm referring to, take a look at this, man. Take a look at these two guys. See, Mr. Yellow there and Mr. Blue. And then Mr. in the dark on the right. Yeah, yeah. Good morning to you, Mr. Godfrey Augustin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you, George. It's a pleasure to be here again.
You still look kind of woozy. Did I get you out of bed to be here on a Sunday morning?
No, man. Actually, I was up since about 5. I was able to fork a piece of land. I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I was forking some land and I cleared some flowers. I did quite a bit around the house.
We're going to have...
I don't want you vetting what I say.
We're going to have to vet.
I'm speaking strictly agriculture. I'm not speaking anything agriculture. You know?
Yeah, folks, I did tell you to be prepared, okay? I did tell you to be prepared, okay? And the other gentleman who's with us this morning is Mr. Randall Robinson. There he is with a big smirk on his face.
Hi, good morning.
Now, don't have me vetting what you say, okay?
No, very good morning to all of your viewers and listeners wherever you are. You know, we just got a list of all of these countries and villages around the world, towns and cities around the world. So we want to wish you all the best. We hope that the weather over where you are is as good as it is in Grenada at this moment. And let me just make a shout out one time, since we're going to be talking soca and calypso and things. So, Scholar, happy birthday, brother.
hey, bro, I just spoke to you. You didn't tell me, man. That's not good at all.
Okay, you gentlemen, have you had a chance to read the editorial which appeared in The Voice this week?
Actually, I read it, yes.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's use that as a sort of jumping off point, if you will, okay? Let me start with you, Godfrey. Your thoughts about that editorial?
Okay, I have no problem with the issue of vetting of calypsos. In fact, I believe it's a good thing. You know, I think it's a good thing. However, if we are going to vet, we would have to find persons who understand what they need to do. So there are a number of things that they should be versed in. The English language. They should also understand the basis of calypso, how calypso came about and what calypso is all about. You must also understand some of what we call our colloquial languages, or language, sorry. Different things we use to represent different things. Every society have their own little culture as it relates to language and phrases and all of that. So all of these things must be taken into consideration, because if you're not aware of that, if you're not familiar with it, you might find yourself in a situation probably banning a very good calypso.
Okay, now what about you?
I thought you were talking about the editorial this week. I didn't see the one last week that spoke about, what did it speak about?
I'm not sure. Basically the one with vetting, that's the one. The vetting
no, I didn't see that one. But I don't believe in the vetting of calypsos at all. I said to someone the other day, perhaps the reason why that calypsos, we have so many calypsos still happening now, it's probably because of Eric Williams's approach to calypsos all those years ago when Chalkdust was singing about him and so on. And you know, the governors and so on, before the governors, during the time of the governors in Trinidad, they didn't stop the calypsos and so on. But as soon as our people took over power in like Trinidad, which is like the Mecca for calypso, so to speak, you had this call, oh, we shouldn't be singing on individuals and, you know, people in power and that kind of thing, even though this is where the calypso was born as, you know, as a song of protest. And Eric Williams, interestingly, you know, used to go to all the tents. And of Chalk Dust Calypso, when he really attacked him, on, I can't remember what was the name of the calypso now, said, let the jackass pray. And that was the end of it. He went to all, they could continue in other words, the Calypsonian had the artist license to do what Calypsonians do best. Why do we want to, where is it, when we start with the censoring or filtering of calypsos, where is it going to end? You know, calypsos have been inconvenient for a number of people, different sectors of the society, different individuals and so on for so many years, right? Why are we so not tolerant? You know, we should have been more tolerant at this point in time if we were growing as a society going forward. Why did we want to stop now?
Let me ask you this, Randa. You know, it's unfortunate that we live in such a very sensitive environment. I think there are certain connotations to the word vetting. Hey, Godfrey? But you're asking, where do you draw the limit, Randall? The bottom line, Randall, is that where do you draw the limit with the, I don't want to use the word on the air, the crap, excuse me, that is getting out there on the airways today?
Well, you see, we were talking about calypsos. You could segue now into the soca, which for me, George, I mean, I don't know where we're going with that. Let me tell you, calypsos are done in a particular way. For all that we can say about calypsos and things, I don't know that I could point to any one, in all of my time of listening to calypsos and so on, that was so offensive that, you know, it didn't make the cut, so to speak. I think there is a kind of, I don't know, I think the calypsos don't nowadays really have not lent itself to that kind of debasement. We've not seen the same thing in the soca. Not the groovy, because I'm very impressed with what I've heard in the groovy this year and so on. But the soca, George, this power soca thing is attracting some youngsters who don't have a clue. And that ignorance, so to speak, is coming out in the music. I mean, so it tells us about the condition of our youth in particular. And it bothers me, it really bothers me.
And I think I owe an apology here. You know, you have to differentiate between calypso and soca. And I'm sitting here listening to you guys and reminiscing about what it was like when I was a little kid growing up in La Baie. I mean, even as a little child, the double entendre had me cracking up. Okay? Today, man, it's in your face.
Yeah.
And it's nasty.
Well, if I butt it a bit, that's why I made the point, Randall, very early that if you are going to, well, I don't have a problem with vetting, but that's why I said if you're going to vet calypso, you need to first understand a couple things. What the basis of calypso. So why would you want to vet a calypso that refers to someone by name or calls the prime minister name? No, I don't agree with that. So this is where I was going when I said you need to understand the basis of calypso.
Context, yes.
When calypso came about, why did calypso come about? You know, what brought about the birth of calypso? So if you do not understand these things, you need to stay away from vetting. Now, if you understand it, then clearly you would be in a better position to determine what is an excellent calypso, what is a mediocre calypso, and what is crap. Now, when we spoke initially, I sort of just generalized, you know, to incorporate both soca and groovy. But clearly, what you hear, and I have to agree with Randall here, what you hear for soca, and sometimes in groovy, you know, maybe to a lesser extent, is total gobar, you know, and for me, as someone who's on the radio...
Hold on. I see you mentioned a word there that had Randall chuckling, and it's got me asking myself, what the hell is gobar?
Gobar.
Without me being censored this morning, could you explain to me what is Gobar, please?
Gobar is a Hindu word.
Let's say Gobar is something, you go to sleep at night and you feel cold. What do?
That is not Gobar.
Well, just...
All right, hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. I think you may have somebody here who wants to chime in. Good morning, you're on the air.
Brother George?
Yes, sir.
The only way to remove this vulgarity and the air is to remove it from the carnival competition. Remove it. This stupid little thing, they remove it from the competition, so we only
it. This gentleman just baffles me. He just baffles me. Anyhow, he's entitled to his opinion. So go Gobar.
Yeah. Oh, but I just gave you the explanation for Gobar.
You asked me a question. When I go to bed at night, man,
and you feel cold, what do?
I get under the covers.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I will leave it at that. Yeah. You get under the sheets, right? So you keep yourself warm.
Okay.
Gobar is a Hindu word, George.
A Hindu word?
Yes.
Now it gets even more complex.
For cow feces.
Cow droppings.
Cow droppings. So wait a minute. When I go to bed and I get cold, wait a minute.
He must put it on the word sheet, George.
You see, that's the beauty of Calypso. You see, George, listen to me. I just don't sing Calypso, That's the beauty of Calypso. And that's why you have people like Scholar and others who are such excellent Calypsonians, because they understand the use of the word.
All right. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, George. Good morning. Hey, Randy.
Good morning.
How y'all doing? Listen, let me ask this question.
And I hear you play.
Oh, hello. Do me a favor. Hello. Please do me a favor. Try and speak into the telephone, please. We're hardly hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I need to change the phone then, because I'm speaking so loud.
Okay.
But George, can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Okay. Well, this Verizon phone ain't working then. Anyway, my thing is Calypso. What I understood from childhood, just like Carnival, what came about for Carnival? When they did them stuff, they brought it out in Carnival and Old Mass. You portrayed the Mass. You sang the Calypsos for whatever was happening in your country or wherever the political situation was brought out in the Calypso. It told the story. I don't know what they're talking about. Maybe somebody's confusing the soca thing to the Calypso. But if you're talking about Calypso, when you sing something about what is happening, what are we trying to do here? Take away the whole thing, then stop the whole carnival. Stop everything that pertains to it. Because to me, that's the concept. This has been the concept since King Hatchet was a hammer. So what are we doing now? I just want to understand.
Well, caller, I think you raised a point there, and I just apologize because I was definitely confusing Calypso and soca, and there is a very distinct difference, okay?
Okay, cool. Because I don't deal with that stupid soca. If it's not a Calypso from, I listen to old Calypso anyway, because, I can't get them. But please, if you want to censor Calypso or whatever they call it, do that and cancel Carnival, everything, because they all come together. That's what we're supposed to do. Come out and laugh when they put them clowns up there, showing what they're doing in Carnival, or say what they're doing in Calypso. Okay? So that's what I understood.
Thank you very much, caller.
All right, bye.
Bye. Appreciate hearing from you. Okay, and let's hear what this person has to say. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, George.
Yes, sir.
And Godfrey and your friend, good morning.
Good morning. You know these guys?
I wish I didn't know them. Now, Calypso in and of itself is a very good medium to express issues in society. And I can tell you, there are some Calypso Sparrow made, they were too raw. There is something called denotative meaning of words. And there is something else called connotative meaning of words. Generally, when you present your lyrics to the public, the denotative meaning should be clear to the listening public. Let those who want to put meaning to it pursue the connotative meaning. And satire is that kind of blend in calypso where the public may put their own meaning, but the artist brings out his denotative meanings. Now I can say, I have listened to Trinidad calypsos, lots of Trinidadians, they have a way of putting meaning, but in such a disguised way, it has to be in your mind to see it. I listened to short, Winston Soso in St. Vincent there, and to my mind, these are very good calypsonians, right? In Grenada here, there were about 3 calypsos that got me off. But generally, calypsos are superior in quality and respect for the listening public. What I feel, but again, calypso, soca, and groovy, they live under the same roof, you know. You're just in different rooms, but under the same roof. But what I don't like about especially that thing called soca is the smut, the vulgarity, the carnal expletives, and decrying women and exploiting their body parts, okay? And using women as objects of sexual convenience. This is too ugly. But what is most hurtful, George? In Grenada, you have a number of FM stations. Those people who are on the FM station, they have no sense of morality, no sense of decency, and they're slamming this thing down into people's throats, especially school children, young school children, the number of nasty things they would hear coming from some of this soca music. It is too shameful for a Christian society. In fact, I called a radio station about 4 weeks ago. The song, well, it was a soca that was played preceding the program To The Point, was so ugly that during the To The Point program, I called the radio and I spoke about it. And of course, the host indicated to me she saw nothing wrong about it. 2 other callers called and said plain out that this was very outlandish. Do you know at the end of the To The Point program, the individual play over the same song? In a mother to say, GBN is mine, I play what I want to play. There must be some kind of vetting. Too much nastiness in our airwaves. We talk about air pollution, but there is something called airwaves pollution. Thank you.
Caller?
Hey?
Hey. You know, I just want to chat with you for half a sec here. You made a point a little while early in your contribution that sometimes people tend to put certain connotations to lyrics that really aren't there. But, you know, I tend to disagree because nowadays they don't necessarily use what we often refer to as double entendre. It's in your face, man. It's in your face.
Right in the face. Right in the face. We must learn to use disguised language.
Exactly.
Okay, this is what I'm saying. Okay? When we are putting the lyrics together, the denotative meaning should be clear, simple, and respectable. Who want to put meaning by inserting connotations, that is their business. This is what I am saying, George.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
Hold on. I ain't done with you yet, buddy. Hold on. The other point you're talking about, the stuff, the stations that don't seem to have any bounds. They allow everything to go, you know. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we are an unregulated broadcast industry.
That is it, George.
Okay.
When you used to run Chime, I could listen to Chime FM anytime. And I had no fear that what was coming out there in music and song was pure quality. Okay, and respect. But I can say that to virtually no other FM station. And some young people without standards, without morality. We have to do something. George, listen. right now we have a kind of sound emission in the output in vehicles and DJs. What? If you want to damage, if you want to break maybe a kidney stone in somebody's kidney, you may use sound emission to break that stone. You get this high frequency music, loud, shaking everything around you, vibrating your brain, that injuring your hearing, and nobody said does anything. And we have a government that said they're governing. They brought in 2006 the noise abatement and noise this act, and no effect. No effect. I cannot even sleep in my house sometimes. Vehicle passing in the road. No control over anything at all. It is shameless. And I'm afraid that much of the soca music, they exploit that kind of lawlessness in the lyrics.
Well, hold on again, sir. You can't blame just the soca artists, eh? You can't. Because they are allowed to do it by the regulatory body. They are allowed to do it. The regulatory body is more obsessed in taking their precious time with their limited resources to fabricate stuff against people like George Grant.
Yes.
And allowing this crapola to get on the air.
Well, I'll be honest with you, but I think the regulatory body is more cesspool than anything else. Sorry for using such word on the air. They are, to my mind, obsessed with attacking decency and allowing indecency. This is my interpretation of the whole thing. I am sorry for Grenada. Godfrey and Robbie, you all better do something, and let's save Grenada together.
Partner, let me tell you something, partner.
Mm-hmm.
The scriptures tell you that nothing remains hidden forever.
That's true.
There's a lot of stuff you've heard out there from these people, which will all come to light. You notice?
Yes.
You notice I haven't been out there talking a lot about things. Have you
Yes,
noticed that?
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. I see
It
that.
will all come to light. God,
Okay.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Take it easy. All right, folks. Just let me. Oh, boy, he puts the phone down hard when he puts it down, doesn't he? What do you guys think about what this gentleman is saying?
Well, I mean, he's on point. He is on point. I have heard quite a lot, and I if you permit me use my favorite word again, I've heard a lot of Gobar on some of the FM stations.
Mhm.
I have. It is worrying sometimes. And what I don't understand is persons who could actually make a difference, they allow it to happen. The kind of thing that Randall spoke about earlier and the caller just spoke about. Guess what, George? That kind of gobar is rewarded. So if it's rewarded, what do you expect? What do you expect? I mean, you listen some things that make it to competition, and you ask yourself, well, what is going on? And I can't help but taking a swipe at some of the persons we have adjudicating this competition nowadays. Now, of course, in days when people like Randall, his brother Alan, Judy Benoit, and Colin Dow was adjudicating Calypso, it was a different thing altogether. It was different. You have judges now who blatantly, and George, look, if anybody want to have problems with me, they can, but they're thief. And these people should be ashamed. Now, I have heard persons in the last couple of days talking about Scholar being an educator and a permanent secretary. But we have the same kinds of persons adjudicating Calypso. And they reward the go-bar that goes out on our airwaves. Which is worse? Which is worse? So the persons who claim that they have the authority and they understand what it is to adjudicate and to elevate stuff. Look at the stuff that they're elevating and they're rewarding. So clearly, as I said, I have no problem with vetting because one very good thing that can come out of vetting, and I must emphasize that the person's vetting should know what they're about and not just be there to please a certain group of people. So not because you refer to someone's name in a calypso, you're going to ban that calypso. They must understand everything about it so that it can help in our artists providing better quality material for our listening ear. That is where I would like to see vetting go. Help artists to produce better quality material when the time comes.
All right. I'll tell you what. We have been so obsessed with our conversation. Let me blame myself. I have neglected some of the people out there who have been very vocal, okay? And I'm going to read their comments now. Some of them go all the way back to when you guys first saddle up,
Yeah,
okay?
no problem.
So you'll have to judge what they're referring to. But let me start here. Okay. Yeah. Oh, hello. Jebby is out there in Orlando, Florida. He says, Godfrey, you have great agriculture skills. Don't castrate Calypso.
Thank you, caller. I won't. I will try my best.
MSF in New York says, Randall, the Chalkdust Calypso in question was somebody mad. Yeah. And she goes on to say, and Williams' supposed response to it was, let the jackass bray. Okay? Beverly Sinclair says, hi, George, Jeffrey, Godfrey, and Randall. For the purpose of this discussion, I would like some clarification on vetting. Who would be vetting, and for what? Would a Calypso be vetted? For airplay, or tense, or competition? Please put the vet into context. Who's going to take on that?
Okay, if you, to understand vetting, and just to define it, is basically to check material to make sure it is acceptable. Now here comes the important part of it, the question that Beverly is asking. All right? One, accepted for what? Accepted by who? And it comes back to my point earlier when I said, if you are going to vet, and this is very important, you need to understand what brought rise to the birth of Calypso. So you should not be vetting Calypso because the Calypso make mentions to the names of some persons of the party that you support. No way. Chalkdust did 3 Blind Mice. And well, you know, a caller was trying to convince me that he was speaking to the 3 ministers and not Michael Manley, not Errol Barrows, and not Forbes Bonham. And he's argued with me. Oh, I know. I subsequently played the Calypso for him. People need to understand Calypso. You need to listen to Calypso carefully. And let me tell you something. No one has the right to decide for a Calypsonian what he or she means in the Calypso.
Yeah.
You don't have that right. The right you have is for you to determine in your opinion what it means and keep that to yourself. You can share it, you know, but that's your opinion. Do not decide what the Calypsonian means. Because a good Calypsonian would very clearly and very craftily in his Calypso explains what he's singing about. And in an excellent Calypso, or what might be termed as a world-class composition, the very first 2 lines would explain to you clearly what the Calypso is all about. So, yes, I agree with Beverly, and I like her questions. Who is vetting, what you're vetting for, and the purpose of your vetting. So, hey, if you're vetting, in my opinion, you should vet to ensure that the quality of material continues to improve and not for any other reason. So in short, that would be my answer. And not to please a selected few. Not at all.
You see, Calypsos are very parochial. It is why, unless you are immersed into the culture of the place where the calypso is created or originates, then you need to be very, very careful about your interpretation, or as the caller before spoke about the connotative meaning of calypsos, because you know we can't escape the connotative meaning of a calypso. But yes, it denotes one thing, but you know it may connote another. But what it connotates is up to you, right? But that in itself, you know, is these marriages that cause the calypso to become great.
Oh, yes.
You understand? Yet the calypso can be great just on its denotative meaning alone, right? Which is what the calypsonian wants to try to capture in its pure essence, that it denotes this, and this is what it is. And for the parochials, the colloquials who are there in it, to capture the colloquialism, and that is where you have to, you know, the connotative meaning of it, and that's the beauty of calypso. Now,
before you go any further, somebody named Kipling Francis in New York making a comment here, which I guess falls in line with what you're saying. He's saying, is it true to say that most people put their own interpretation as to what is said in calypso?
Well, of course, and it's based on your own experience. But I said it's very parochial. That is why it's not an easy thing to just pick up from Grenada and let's say go to Trinidad or go to St. Lucia or go to. You remember you were struggling with the meaning of Gobar just now. You understand what I'm saying? A calypso, if they wrote a calypso in Trinidad about Gobar, and Trinidadians will get it, Grenadians may not, because it's, you know, it's not a word that we use here and so on. And that is why we have to be so careful. There was a time when we used to import judges from Trinidad, and they will come up and they listen to the might lean across, you see them lean across, and what that word mean? Or what that mean? You see? Because they're not immersed in the local culture where calypsos originate from. So we have to be very careful about that. But you know, George, the other thing, you know, the caller also spoke to the vocabulary. George, our population, or these youngsters, I would say, I don't know if they did the student's companion that we had to do in school, but George, the vocabulary is very limited. If you have a limited vocabulary as a writer, you're in a tunnel. Therefore, you don't know the words to be able to express an emotion or something that you saw in language that, you know, broadens the thing. That is why we're so direct. And that is probably why the violence in society is going up, because nobody could express how they feel. They don't have the words for it, George. So they rather pull a cutlass or a piece of wood and hit you so that you understand, leave me alone. And they can't explain why. They know why, you know, but they can't explain. The words can't come out. And we've seen it in the calypsos now. So they're very, they're very basic. The writing is very basic because they do not have the vocabulary, and it is very unfortunate. And something has to be done about it. You know, I keep looking on.
That goes back to our education system.
Of course, it goes back to our education system, and that is the problem that we are seeing now. Our writers are people who have that kind of skill, don't have the wherewithal, the paraphernalia, the words to express themselves the way they ought to. So so what we see in here with the writing is just reflective of what we get in school. The other thing, George, 65% of Grenadians are under the age of 35, right? You hear we speak to one another. You see what is happening in Soca? The caller spoke about, oh, those things shouldn't go on the radio, and I agree. But who is saying that? The 35%, those of us in the minority who old and, you know, and were brought up in a certain way. I met a youngster about 3 or 4 years ago. I was lying by Roger, if you're listening, well, barbecue going on, he may not be listening, but by Roger. A young fella, about 10 years old. There was a gentleman sitting down there, one of Roger's customers, with a crucifix, right? With Jesus on it. So, you know. Sometimes you have the cross without it. This is the crucifix hanging around his neck. And the young fella turned to him and asked him, who is that?
on the crucifix.
On the crucifix. So he was in shock. He was in shock because this is the 10-year-old who don't know Jesus.
Because we probably don't teach religious education in school anymore.
But you could imagine that shock. So when we're talking about morality, where they're getting the morality from? They ain't getting it in schools. They're not going to church. And who it is telling them. And then here is what we are hearing the caller is so right, eh? He is so right. But I am saying, I am listening beyond that because those works of art, so to speak, art in inverted commas, are a reflection of where we are as a society, and it frightens me, George. It frightens me. Yes, women have become an object of these, let's just say an object across the board, whether it be sexual or whatever. Objects. They're not to be, you're hearing any of those songs that glorify women, that raise them up, that elevate them. You'll hear it in the calypso, but you're certainly not hearing it much on the soca side of things, George. And as a young people, and it bothers me, and to see the young ladies jumping up, gyrating, carrying on to these songs that depict them in a less than favorable light is also very worrisome. And all of us need to be paying attention to this, because you know what? They're going to grow up into what? Into what?
You see, and what worries me most, Randall, is that when you hear that kind of thing, they're rewarded for it. So there is no getting better. The persons who should be helping them to get better, they're rewarding them for that kind of thing.
You know,
and so
Beverly spoke about vetting, and I'll tell you something. The Trinidad experience is this. You can't get in a calypso tent in Trinidad if you don't meet a certain cut, if you don't meet a standard. It means that the Calypso Association in Trinidad regulates itself. It says this is good enough or it is not good enough. And youngsters, through NJAC and all of them, have been, when you see these youngsters come onto the national stage in Trinidad, they came through NJAC. They might be 18 years old, but singing for 10 years, 12 years. They're veterans down there, and the calypsos and the musicians and so on are groomed from small, so they understand what this thing is about. George, the other side of this is the producers, the fellas who in these little studios all over the place producing this nonsense and coming out. I say there should be a producer as Jail Godfrey. For the life of me, that is where we need to deal with this thing. And I keep asking, where are our music teachers? We need music teachers. We need music teachers.
Hey, but Randall, quickly, why do you think all these young fellas with a little computer and a software in their rooms are better in quality or knowledge than those who come to record these kind of nonsense?
What do you mean?
But the producers are no better in terms of their educational
background.
background.
The point they're trying to make.
So having a producer's jail really ain't make no sense. You have a jail for producers and them fellas.
Okay, guys, I want to continue before these folks on the
blow up. Yes.
Blow up on me here. Let me get back to them. MSF says, but it really doesn't matter whether it's soca or calypso. It is censorship. That's what she describes vetting as. Okay, censorship. Jimmy says, getting rid of the pun in our calypso and soca music will make it sterile.
Of course.
Good point, caller. MSF also referred to that caller a few minutes ago, saying, good point, caller, on connotative and
denotative.
Excuse me, choking here. Denotative meanings. She also goes on to say, smut has always been a part of calypso. The difference was smut was restricted to the calypso tent, as it should be. It was not played on the air.
Right.
All right. Jaban says, FM radio stations in Grenada are trashy, and I tend not to listen to them. Sad that Chime is off the air. Thank you, Jimmy. Kipling says, How do you fault soca for being degrading to women when the women are the ones doing the background vocals? Good point, Jabi. Good point. Then Jabi, good point, Kipling, I should say. Jabi comes back and says, the shepherds are looking after themselves rather than the flock. NJ Tony says, I understand the discussion this morning is about soca and calypso music, but a discussion is needed about the music on the airwaves in Grenada. In the United States, you can find rap music with significant vulgarity, but not on the airwaves.
Exactly.
I have listened to stations in Grenada playing rap music with the F sharp, which is very disconcerting.
Yep.
Anthea says, I remember being told by an aunt to stop singing Push It For Me. I told her it was the car they were talking about, but she would have no part of it. Anthea. Oh, Anthea. MSF says, Randall, you have just spoken a book about education and its effects on the calypso, soca, end product. If garbage goes in, then garbage will come out. Jaban says, Randall, you are right. Youth culture today is expressively impotent. And the social media, urban language, new words, cripple them. You know we have a new language.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
LOL.
Yeah. LOL. Yeah.
It means lots of love.
He also goes on to say, but young women today bump and flash their genitalia. That's culture today in Grenada, Rando. Sad. Real sad. NJ Tony says, while our education system may be a factor in the lyrical content of popular music, to me, the greater problem is the contempt our current generation has to what was the traditional concept of decency. Back in the day, most of the Calypsonians did not attend secondary school or college, but we had music that all listened to.
Yeah, but I used to go to church. They had a sense of what was right and what was decent and so on. I mean, you know, and moral. You know, and people stood up for that. But what are we standing up for now?
But finally, we have a final parting comment here from MSF. She says, but Randall, you talk about NJAC. That organization has a particular philosophical outlook that is progressive and promotes black empowerment. Where is a similar organization or organizations in Grenada that promote progressive values?
That's a good question.
MSF, that's a good question, he says.
That's a good question. But you know, George, there are some proponents of the art, like Wizard and Teacher Eddie and so, who have dedicated some of their time, a lot of their time, to teach youngsters writing skills, calypso, you know, composition, and so on. Rootsman Kelly, I know, helps, and others of that ilk who are dedicated to trying to make sure that, you know, the art form continues along the path that, you know, everybody expects it to go along. But those are few and far between. And then the thing is, I think Dexter Mitchell is also involved in that. But you know the other thing? It's funding, George. So we have to try our corporate sponsors and so on, and especially the people who make a lot of money off Carnival and so on, should try to assist. Because, you know, if we do it right, and if they help to do it right, then we can have carnivals and music at carnivals that we could all be proud of. we could only be better for it. And so, I'm going to help to champion that cause, that we need to strengthen that that process, that wants to help with the Calypso art form among the youngsters. And I think, if that takes off there, and a number of the youngsters who have benefited, we've seen them come to the foreign and national competitions and so on. So we want to. Little Natty and Thunder was a Calypso. He came through the ranks as a junior Calypsonian and so on. So we're seeing some bright sparks, and we're saying that that needs to be encouraged, so we have more of them.
All right, guys, I'll tell you what. Let me pay some bills here, and then we'll come on back and continue with this. Back with Randall and Godfrey in just a wee bit, but Jabon on the box has just chimed in and said here, Randall, what is Grenada Minister of Culture doing? You're asking the man to answer an impossible question, Jimmy. And Dillagav says, sponsors of most carnival events are drink-related. Yeah, I guess he means, a lot of the sponsors are alcohol and stuff like that. Okay, guys, let's take a little break here and we'll come on back.
Like a diamond, we continue to shine. 85 years, we stood the test of time. Our financial brilliance is all for you. 85 years of making dreams come true.
Grenada, join Core Bank's 85th anniversary diamond celebration. Take out or switch to our diamond anniversary mortgage with 0 fees and the chance to win $18,500 for a home project. Or get on vehicle loan, 100% financing on new vehicles and the chance to win $8,500. Or get a quick approval loan up to $20,000. Special terms and conditions apply. Check in branch and online for details. Welcome home.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeberpick, Nutmed, Bourbonday, and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Hello, folks. We are back with Godfrey and his cohort, Randall. Now, while you were listening to that little break there, a couple of comments came in. John Dillagaff has explained, he's clarified himself here. He says, sponsors of most carnival events are drinks related. That's what he's talking about. Okay. He also says, a pan goes down the pan, Beverly. Okay, John, you lost us on that one. Beverly says, Randall, a corporate sponsor will throw away $50,000 on a soca show, but will not put $50 into the development program for the artists and other stakeholders.
Then that corporate sponsor is not looking down the road.
Pardon me?
Then that corporate sponsor is not looking down the road. They're being very myopic,
But she's essentially suggesting that that's what's going on here.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, and I will take that. But I am saying that they need to revisit that approach to the art form.
I don't necessarily agree, Randall and Beverly, that yes, you may find persons putting a lot more money into a soca show. But I don't think, because you see, a sponsor would not just get up and decide, look, hey, I am going to go there. Yeah, they may have some interest. But I think it starts with the organizers of the events. Now, if the organizers of these events do not put efforts or serious effort into the development of Calypso, then they will not be able to attract any assistance. Now, if all your efforts, look, now they're talking about what? Having Groovy to stand by its own. You're not even hearing anything about Imashka. Look, I'll give you an example, George and Randall. How many times in the last, how many carnival have you seen an advertisement or heard one on radio or television advertising or promoting our Dimashgra. And don't tell me you have to wait until after the semi-finals to put an ad together for that.
I take your point. I take your point.
So
but
clearly, it starts with our organizers. If you're gonna put more effort or dedicate more time, serious time and effort into the development of Calypso, Calypso is going to do very well. Grenadians love Calypso. Believe you me, I know that.
Well, you should. I was just going to make the point. If anybody knows that, he does. Look at the success. 15 years, legends. 15 years. You see the people a couple of weeks ago.
And we're getting ready for Sweet 16, George.
Okay, yeah. Calypso is still there. It's still there, but
it has nowhere to go. It has nowhere to go. It is going to remain. And as long as I'm here, and people like Randall, it is going to remain. So I am calling on the organizers to put some serious effort and dedicate some time, invest in some persons who understand and who love the art form to assist. Let me tell you something. I believe, my heart and soul, that we on Dimashqa night can get 3,000 persons in the stadium to listen to or view Dimashqa. I am convinced about that.
But Godfrey?
No effort.
Yes, and Godfrey, the show needs to be produced.
Of course.
It needs to be produced. When the shows were produced in the past, they finish at a reasonable time. You know, when we were little fellas and things so, Godfrey, and we go on Dimashqa night. George Dimashqa was finished by 12:30, 1 o'clock. Everybody and there's our Queen show. Queen show, Kings and Queens, and the Calypso competition. That finished by 12:30.
You going home and get ready and come back for Juve?
Going home where you're going down on the carnage
But I'm
because
just saying,
the fire service used to have a big fete and yacht club used to have a big fete. You're going there and then you're going straight to Juve.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that you had enough time.
That's the point.
To
go home if you wanted
change your clothes, put on your pisa short pants or whatever it is, and you come down to Juve.
Now the Dimashqa show, George, I mean, I'm embarrassed to say it, finishes at about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Let's put it that way. Juve does start before Dimashqa finish.
That's the point. Yeah?
But I am convinced that the organizers of the event, and let me tell you, they don't like to take responsibility. They always shy away and they vex when people talk about they should take responsibility when things do not happen. But they need to take responsibility. They are the ones at the helm. They have to take responsibility for what happens or what. Why is it that they can get all the praise when things go well? Why is it that they take all the praise when Soca Monarch is all nice and fancy? And why is it that they take the praise now that they feel Groovy has grown so much that it should be by itself? Why aren't they taking responsible for the low turnout at Dimashqa, the lack of no panorama last year, nobody coming to Queen Show? They need to take responsibility. As far as I am concerned, the organizers are the ones that need to make that first step and do what is supposed to be done.
Godfrey, I wonder if anybody listening to you. I wonder if people are listening.
They should be.
Well, how many years is happening, Godfrey? We talk about a post-mortem afterwards and so on.
Let's just talk about post-mortem.
You know, you talk about post-mortem. I remember for several years, the first Sunday after Carnival, I would use this program to do a post-mortem of Carnival. And you know what? After about 3 or 4 years of that, I decided, heck with that. Because every year, it's the same thing. Same old.
Again, why is it that after let's say Dimashqa, maybe a week or two after, why is it that the panel of judges are not prepared to sit with Calypsonians, point out to them where they may have fallen short, to help them to develop? But Calypsonians may have a little issue, maybe they felt that they were not judged properly. The judges should sit with them. Look, artist X, this is where you fell short, and this is why we probably scored you X there. Help the artist to develop. Instead, they go and hide.
Godfrey, we had a Calypso Judges Association.
I know that.
And when they to George how many years
when
ago,
they scrap it for political reasons, then all of this started happening. You know,
again.
All of that started happening again. And I have a problem with that. I have a serious problem with that. George, let me tell you something. what Legends and Concert was last weekend or the weekend before?
Weekend before that.
We have already put the cast together for Sweet 16.
You understand?
It has to do with organizing properly and doing things the right way. And don't tell me it cannot be done. It could be done. When you have all, look, Pure White and them have how much ads on radio and TV? Have you seen any ad for Panorama?
No.
Have you seen any ad for Semi-Final?
No.
Have you seen any ad for Queen Show?
No.
None. What are they doing?
It happens by osmosis.
What are they doing? They're studying to cuss and get on over the best calypso that was ever written in the whole world. I had to find a way to put it in, George. The best calypso ever written in the world. They started to cuss and talk a whole set of gobar about it. And what they're supposed to be doing, they're not doing it. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. I had to find a way to put it in there because I'm vexed. I'm well vexed.
And you ought to be vexed.
All right, let's hear what this caller has to say. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning, caller. All right, person got cold feet. Let me tell you, there's some comments on the box here. Henry Steele says GUT Credit Union had a program to help young artists to write and sing calypsos. Are you guys familiar? Okay. And Beverly Sinclair says, well, Godfrey, I would love to see a Legends Legacy program to develop calypso and calypsonians.
I have no problem with that.
Very good.
I have absolutely no. In fact, myself and Hugh Dolan had a discussion on that about a week ago.
Okay. All right. Good morning, caller. Okay. Caller gone. Caller gone.
But I think that's a natural progression.
Of course.
Godfrey.
Yeah.
You know, somebody has to help. I mean, you know, we had to stop talking and we have to start doing.
Okay. Stop talking, start doing. Let me take a little break here, and then we will stop talking and start doing.
Hubbard's Agency, located on Kiran and James Boulevard, St. George, carries a wide range of quality brands such as Dutch Lady Milk, Danny Chicken Luncheon Meat and Salami, Welch's Juices, Chief Seasonings and Snacks, Rinse Laundry Detergent, Bop, and so much more. For a quality wholesale experience, visit our store today. Our experienced and friendly staff awaits you. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Like a diamond, we continue to shine. 85 years, we stood the test of time. Our financial brilliance is all for you. 85 years of making dreams come true.
Grenada, join Core Bank's 85th anniversary diamond celebration. Take out or switch to our diamond anniversary mortgage with zero fees and the chance to win $18,500 for a home project. Or get on vehicle loan, 100% financing on new vehicles and a chance to win $8,500. Or get a quick approval loan up to $20,000. Special terms and conditions apply. Check in branch and online for details.
Welcome home.
The Rotary Clubs in Grenada invite you to its biggest ever all-inclusive Carnival Sunday Fest at Spice Basket on Sunday, August 12th. Join us as together we celebrate 50 years of service to the Grenadian people. There will be fireworks display, pan wizards, trios, Now, Solid the Band, Dash, Talpree, Scorpion, Short Free, and The Inspector, DJ Blackstorm, and Small Globes. Admission $200. Starting time 12 noon. Unlimited drinks and a wide variety of local foods. On Sunday, August 12th, Spice Basket.
From renewable energy programs to energy-efficient LED streetlights and electric cars, Renlec is playing its part in increasing efficiency in electricity usage, investing in new technologies to minimize costs, decrease our nation's dependency on fuel imports, and reduce pollution is just part of what makes Renlec a good neighbor. For more information, visit renlec.com.
Alrighty, folks, we are back. We only have about 15 minutes left, but take a look at these guys. On the left there's good old Randy, and on the right, there's good old Godfrey. Guys are getting they got pretty pumped up this morning, and I'm glad. I'm glad there's certain things that need to be said, and always count on them to say it. So yes, you guys are going to think of a legacy program to keep things trucking, right?
Definitely. And we started with the Legends Awards because we felt that there's so many persons who have contributed.
Yeah.
Not just artists, you know, but there are a lot of persons who have contributed to the art form, maybe in the background. And so we felt it's important to recognize them. And we are going to continue to do everything we can. I mean, Legends Promotion is small, but we are going to continue to do what we have to do and expand because we get support. I would never call on Randall and Randall say to me, hey, why busy? No. I call on people like Judy, I call on people like Adrian Francis and Hugh Dolan, and they are always ready to assist in some way or the other. So the point I'm making is, George, they are persons, capable persons, who are willing to give their time and their knowledge and their energies to developing these things. But guess what? Those in authority, they have no interest in that.
No.
They don't like Calypso. They're not for Kaiso at all. They're not for Kaiso. They're not for Kaiso.
Look, George, I want to get in a piece edgewise, you know. The soca thing. I want to get back there. Because you realize that we had the soca preliminary competition. We had 100 and, how many? 130 about. So, you know, people who call themselves soca artists coming on to perform in a preliminary competition. Before these things used to be, we used to take the CDs, the judges, sit down, listen to the CDs, and determine what we feel can make it to the semifinals. Because there's a lot of crap. The crap is not now, George. The crap has been there forever.
And there will always be crap.
Right? And there will always be crap. No, it's a scramble to get 30 people to come into the semifinals. But at least you get 30 that are palatable, that you could probably put on a stage and say, you know what has happened, George? 130-something odd songs have been put on a national stage, along with the artists, on a national stage, and broadcast to the world. So the two Calypso, the two soca artists who, God, who have us concerned about where we're heading with this thing, have over 200,000 views. George, the ones who make us smile, they ain't getting anything close to them kind of views. So the worst of us is outside there for public consumption. Is this, you know, I spoke about this, George, years ago. The first time it happened, I went to the organizers. I told them, I said, you think this is good enough? Is this good enough? You know, they tell me all kinds of things. I said, but could this be good enough to go on a national stage? George, you don't make it to the Olympics unless you make a certain time.
Of course.
Or you throw a certain distance. You don't make it to Carifesta Games. Also, you don't even make it in your school sports to the finals or to heats and things. So unless you went to the warm-ups before and you ran a certain time and so on, you're not going to go to the school sports and see the worst of the runners. No, because that happened behind the scenes down in Tantina or wherever, on whatever ground. And then when the school says GBSS Sports, SAS Sports, this, that, it is those who qualify, who make the minimum standard, are put outside there and may the best man win. We do that in every single school, every aspect of what we do in society. We're not doing that for our soca. Are we crazy? Is that good? It cannot be good enough, George. And so we need to go back to that, you could say vetting, if you want to. You go back to that so that at least a minimum standard is achieved to be put on a national stage to represent us, George. You know, when we judge the Calypso, we go to all the Calypso tents. I have always been an advocate for when we go to the Calypso tent, there should be at least one recording device there to hear all the Calypsos for the year. But it does not go out on the airwaves. But for our archives and so on, you must know who are the proponents of our Calypso art form and so on, and the things that they would have done, even just for the historical archives. We should have that. They don't even do that. Now, everybody is there at every little tent now that you go to with some kind of recording device that is streaming live. You understand?
Smartphone?
The smartphone thing and so on. So this is what is going on. And I don't know, that is stop. Somebody has to put, the standards must be established. Look, we go in and it is going to be, we go into the tent and they're going to be judging and so on. Fine. And the tent people have put these people on, and so. For the preliminaries, I don't necessarily think that we need to be broadcasting what you see in the preliminaries, but certainly from the semifinals and the finals, it makes a cut, and then we could broadcast semifinals and finals. Let's at least uphold some kind of standard now, so that a Grenada could be viewed in some kind of light. This Vagina song that has gone out there, and the other one with the free wood or whatever as the case might be, that, you know, you might laugh, but some people ain't laughing, you know, and those of us who really are for the art form and so on, we really not laughing at it. It's not funny. And we need to say that it is not funny, it's not good enough, it should not be going outside there. These things would have never made it on a national stage, would certainly not have had that. It was a week ago, it was 200,000 views. You could imagine how many views that is, because that gone viral. You understand? The worst of us has gone viral.
But doesn't that speak something about the society? Forget about the artist for a minute. Doesn't that say something about the society?
Well, George, 200,000 views, only 100,000 people in Grenada, so you know, it ain't Grenadians alone.
Yeah.
It really tells you about us. And it cannot be, but it's you know, we don't have standards again, George. Standards. Mm-hmm. And for a product like Grenada Carnival Spice Mass, that could really bring out the best in us, Godfrey, if it is done properly, could really showcase the best of us and bring out the best of us. We shouldn't be happy. That thing needs to be regulated, controlled, you know, and guided in the direction that it needs to go. And we don't need these little outliers that come and just spoil the whole thing for us.
No, very well said, Randall. I mean, and again, it goes back to the persons who organize these events and ensure that, you know, things happen. If it's not properly organized and, you know, the right mechanisms not put in place to ensure that it's done properly, then this is what we're going to end up with.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to end up with. So it's very, very unfortunate. Rather unfortunate, George.
All right, gentlemen, I'll tell you what. There's, okay, that person's gone. There is another note here from Kipling Francis in New York. He says, judges make up their minds long before. Imagine someone forgetting the lines to their song and still winning.
I saw that. I was there.
Me too.
It kind of threw me for a loop. You know, George, well, I had a choir mistress who used to say, the song will not sing itself. You have to sing it. Mm-hmm. And every single time that you get on stage, it is a totally new performance. You have to do it again. It's not, you know, you're not a robot. You know, you could just go on there, save, press play, and the same performance that you did yesterday will come forward. We're not like that. So every single time you perform from scratch. And, you know, and that is the judge's responsibility in a final competition, is that the person who wins has to be, on the day, the best.
Best of the lot, yeah.
The best of the lot. And I can't see that it happened, it wasn't only once they forget a line.
A lot of times.
Mm-hmm. And you win a competition.
But in both times.
But you know, Kipling, it is Kipling who said that. Kipling, as a former judge myself, I want to say, I never made up my mind beforehand. You have to give the artist on the day the opportunity to start from scratch and make the points. There's no way, well, not on my judging sheet, that you coming inside there with a 80 in the bag already and you're just looking to make more points. That ain't happening. And I think for the majority of us, that is not the case.
You know, Randall, if I do decide to judge, or if I'm on an adjudicating panel, unlike you, I would judge differently, you know. I would start every artist at 100 points. And as they perform, I deduct. No, I'm serious.
Well,
so everybody comes in, you're in the final, you're the 10 best. You're the 10 best. So,
they're on its own downhill, right?
And it's all downhill after that.
No, that's a serious thing, you know. If you come and your pants too big, I go deduct a point. If your pants are your shirt and matching, I deduct a next point. I mean, that part of it is a joke, but I'm saying, seriously, I would start every artist at 100, and as you perform, as you make your errors, as you make your shortfall, I would deduct.
You know, in some cases, you might have to deduct a lot more than 100. So after you get to 100, wait, -1, -2.
Well, in a case like that, when the results are announced, you just will not hear your name.
Okay. Here's a note from Henry again, Henry Steele. He says, some artists may be taking their cue from their politicians in terms of standards.
But, I mean, okay, in 2017, for example, if an artist goes on stage and sings in his calypso, that any calypsonian who sings on politician is a weapon of mass destruction, and you crown that artist, clearly he is taking his cue from the politician. Randall, you agree with me?
Mr. Man, I ain't getting in that political argument this morning, but let me say,
responding to the point.
No, but let me say, it was a very unfortunate remark to make and to put in calypso. It was very unfortunate because, you know, the calypso, where the calypso was born.
But that's my point.
You can't make a statement like that.
So why?
Yeah, but you know, the criterion don't allow me to take out marks for a line like that. The criterion does not allow you.
Yeah, but no. I don't agree.
It doesn't.
Because you see, I don't think it.
No,
where is the relevance of that?
I mean, where's the relevance?
It doesn't fit in with your story. How can, if you're singing about that, let's say you're singing about weapons of mass destruction, how can a calypso, tell me how can a calypsonian who sings in a politician becomes a weapon of mass destruction? To me, it is you singing in Queen's Park and that line is in Carriacou. How? Explain to me how. If you explain to me, then I'll take my statement back.
No, I think your point in the context, you know, and whether it fits with the storyline and all of that.
Course.
And so on.
And judging is all about context and all. You know, there's a lot involved.
But if you were to follow the man over the years, you would realize that he would believe that. So you can't hold that against him. But anyway, George, I see the wrap-up sign. I would like to say, you know, despite all of the negatives that we find, you have these gems that have come to the fore. And I would like to, you know, well, I ain't judging again, but I thought that song by Scholar, Pum Pum, was a breath of fresh air. In a lot of ways, because it truly epitomizes everything that is good about a calypso and the calypso art form, including the time that we are in, because the language is bold and brash and in your face, you know? So it still speaks, even then, with the language to the 2018 that we are in. And so hats off to him and others. There are some really good calypsos that I have heard this time here, and so on. I have to say, I heard one that kind of hit the NDC Royal had, that kind of cringe, and I was like, and I give it for some talk and things so. But you know, that is all part of it, because calypso, George, is no respecter of persons. It ought not to be. There are no sacred cows in society, and therefore the calypso, once you do bad, as they're saying in Carriacou with the parang, Once you do bad, your name going to call in the parang, it won't call in the kaiso. And it's a good way of us of self-regulating and so on, and bringing to the fore the things that bother the small man or the big man or anybody or everybody in the society. And so, you know, and it must, those roots, we can't deny those roots at any point in time. So there are these bright spots, and there's a lot more that could be done to enhance our spice mass and all of that. But we're talking about the music today, and you know the music makes the carnival. So for those who continue to be the exponents of the art form, we want to say you too have a responsibility. You as the artists have a responsibility to sit down with the others who don't make the cut to help them. You, the producer, Mr. Music Producer, you have a responsibility to hold that which all of us as Grenadians and Calypso lovers hold dear, and soca lovers and hold dear, and understand those standards. And when fellas fall short of the glory, we need to tell them they have fallen short, and we cannot produce that. It needs to start somewhere. Somebody has to have, you know, these standards have to be preserved, and especially by those who are proponents of the art form. And for those of us who are lovers of the art form, we need to be vocal in our saying that this ain't good enough, you all need to wheel and come again. You know, you have to do better. If we're saying it out of love, you know, we're not saying it out of malice or anything like that, because I don't know everybody, but I know I love Calypso, and I know what offends me, and I know what has offended most of us. And therefore, we need to fix it. Yeah?
All right. Parting word from you, Mr. Augustine?
Yeah, I do agree with Randall, and you know, I would like to just to go back a little bit on the whole issue of vetting. Like I said, I have no problem with vetting, only if it will be used to help, you know, our artists to provide better quality music. This is where I'm at as it relates to vetting. We have to use it to help. And first, but also that persons who are going to be used to vet Calypso must first and very, very expertly understand what brought about the birth of Calypso. That should be your number one qualification. If you don't understand that, then you are not in a position to vet any Calypso. As everyone knows, I love Calypso, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help the art form. I continue to play Calypso, I continue to speak about Calypso, and if there's anything that I see that is not helping Calypso, I will speak about it. And it doesn't matter who it offends. If it's going to offend you, then don't do anything to be spoken about.
And by the way, let me take this opportunity, Godfrey, as we wrap it up, to personally, publicly congratulate you. I attended my second Legends in Concerts.
Only second?
Only second. Can you believe that, Randall? Only
Randall, you've been to all, yeah?
I missed one. I was away for one.
Wow.
My wife has been to all.
Yes.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was awesome. And I really, really have a great admiration for the type of talent you are able to assemble and the tightness of the show. When I look around the audience and I see the people who are sitting there, it's so good to see these people coming out. They would love to come out more often.
Exactly.
But there ain't that kind of talent out there to draw them out. You know, and that's very unfortunate. So keep it up, my friend. Keep it up. And Randall, we're looking forward to number 16?
Of course we're looking forward to number 16.
No.
Sweet 16.
Oh, Sweet 16.
No, we got it.
Sweet 16. But George, just one last thing before we go, because I want to join you in words of congratulations for Godfrey. And I mean, you know, that is what continues to help. You know, when you go there and you see people, you realize a lot of us love the thing, and we love the thing bad, and we celebrate what is good about us. I want to say that I too, over the years, have been helping in my own little way with voice, because a lot of our Calypsonians, you know, I'm a singer. I've been trained, and I try to help with voice. I've helped a number of the artists. I don't call names because, you know, I let them come and help them to get the thing right. And there's still a lot who need some help. Give a call. You all know how to find me if you need some assistance, and with the voice especially. And you know, I try to do my little thing in my little area where I can help you. So call, and we continue the thing.
Okay. Randall Robinson and Godfrey Augustin. Thanks a lot, guys. I really do appreciate having you here this morning. And very stimulating conversation. I'm sure it was thought-provoking, and a lot of people out there are going to be thinking now, having heard what you guys had to say this morning. Pilgrims. Oh, let's see here. Before I say goodbye, let me take a look at the box. Anthea says, good one, Godfrey. Makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure what she's referring to, but might have been one of your quips a little earlier on. NJ Tony says, no sacred cow. How true. Javon says, Scholar is featuring Panorama. Love the sound of the big bass steel pan. Pum, pum, pam, pum. I'm learning.
Yeah, you're learning.
And John Dillegaff says, Hamilton wins the German Grand Prix from 14th on the grid.
Wow. That was a drive.
That was a drive.
Yep. That was a drive. Yeah.
You know, this kid, Lewis Hamilton, a few years ago, he was in Grenada on a visit, and I met him. This was down at Queen's Park. I could hardly get a word out of this youngster. You know, he was very introverted, very shy, and everything. Have you seen the character nowadays? Oh, man. Hot stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, folks. One final little break here, and we are going to wrap it up.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover household that's comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for. Grenadian General.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Alrighty, folks, just before we pull the plug, as always, on a Sunday morning, one parting word from the Holy Scriptures, and this one comes to you from the first book of John, chapter 1, verses 8, 9, and 10. If we claim to be without sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just, and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. If we claim we have not sinned, we make him out to be a liar, and his word is not in us. Pilgrims, let me say thank you very much to my very special guest this morning, and also to those of you who joined us in the audience out there. What a delight having you on board. Thank you so much for coming along. And I do look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock for the next edition of Good Day Grenada. George Grant saying ciao.